Times close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang online, Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop. Think I got the message across. Came for the titles and press of the watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Pins on the jacket, the man's abundant. The point of the road was banned and rugged. Hushing, I'm planning on pants in London. The products are not being scared of some judgment. Gotta stay in the cut. Cut you off if you ain't making the cut. Couldn't tell you who the hell is behind us. You start to forget when you stay in the front of it's up. And it's up for grabs, no remorse of who I'm taking it from. Numbers I give on my scoreboard is the only form of us staying in touch, that's saying enough. It's time to receive for all of the favors I've done. Too late for y'all to switch teams, everybody getting big leagues. Product flying out the shelf, what's in store for us? Known to hit a hole in one, look at the crowd and shoulder shrug. Shots are limited, I'm scared mango with the golden gun. Posted up, ready for whatever, boy, you know what's up. Times close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang online, Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop. Think I got the message across. Came for the titles and press of the watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Shout out to Steve. The boy getting love from the harsh critics. Strauss hit me bi-weekly to tell me keep taking it further. You aren't finished and I gotta listen. Ain't son to believing and see that I'm actually breathing and doing it real time. Love to pull an idea out thin air, act on it and profit in real life. If we not aligned, don't present me a dotted line. Yeah, I'm a QB, but I ain't handing on nothing for someone to monetize. And it goes to the birds too. Can't give it a time if a dollar so caught her eyes. They get X'd out for they had the potential to be my ex. I know all the plays, I'm a seasoned vet. Yeah. Always showing up, known to hit a hole in one. Look at the crowd and shoulder shrug. Shots are limited, I'm scared mango with the golden gun. Posted up, ready for whoever, boy, you know what's up. Times close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang online, Iwo Jima got one flag and it's sticking the ground. Setting up shop. Think I got the message across. Came for the titles and press of the watch. We play at the levels of Letterman jocks. Times close, I whittled them down. Sticking to them by sticking around. The gang online, Iwo Jima got one flag. Yeah.
AMRB's what we got.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another action-packed edition of the Roundup with me, Big League Berardi. Hopefully, you guys were able to enjoy this beautiful Wednesday afternoon and evening. Perfect weather outside for baseball and softball. Our show, as always, brought to you by Spherion Mid Ohio. Spherion Mid Ohio staffing and recruiting specialists servicing 9 counties throughout Mid Ohio. They offer professional jobs for amateur sports fans and everyone in between. Click the link in this video's description to see jobs they are currently hiring for, learn about the perks of using a staffing agency, or to fill your current staffing needs. On today's show, we have our greatest hits winner from last week, week number 5. We have our week 6 nominees. We also have our Talk of the Town Shoutout Edition brought to you by Plymale Insurance Group. Also, Diamond Cuts are back. We'll have Brian Skorwonski in studio with us for that. But as always, we begin with our highlighted conference from this past week, and this one is the WCAL. It's coming down to the final week of the regular season. So let's take a look first at the baseball scores from this past week. Starting in non-conference action just 4 days ago, Chippewa with the 2-game sweep in a doubleheader over Waterloo, 9-5, 8-7. Then back into conference play on a Saturday, Norwayne gets revenge on Hillsdale to kind of shake up the conference race. They knock them off 2-1. Also on Saturday, Rittman sweeping Crestline in a doubleheader, 3-0 and 12-4. WAYNEDALE in non-conference action, they played a doubleheader against two teams. They knocked off Licking Valley 7-2 before falling to State Power Highland 4-2. And then 2 days ago, Hillsdale knocking off rival Loudonville 9-1. Now we go to action last night, big conference action. 4 teams fighting for the conference title still. Norwayne on top of the conference with a 4-2 victory over Dowton. Smithville 7-4 victors over Chippewa. The Hillsdale Falcons keep their title hopes alive 2-0 over WAYNEDALE, and Northwestern knocking off Rittman 7-5. As we now take a look at those baseball standings in the Wayne County Athletic League. Norwayne sitting on top. They've got all but one game complete. 11-2 in the conference, 15-3 overall, but right behind them, Hillsdale and WAYNEDALE. Those two play today, with whoever wins has a shot still at the conference championship, but they're going to need help from Dowton, who needs to knock off Norwayne today to get that three-way tie for the top of the standings. Smithville back there at 5-8, 7-9 overall. Northwestern at 4-9. Chippewa at 1-10, and Rittman at 1-12. Now taking a look at the softball scores from the WCAL over the past week. We go 1 week ago. Chippewa knocking off Dowton 5-1. Day after that, Norwayne and Hillsdale. Norwayne, as you saw live and free on the OH Report, 4-2 in 9 innings. Norwayne in the top of the 7th, down to the last strike, a 2 RBI single to tie things up. Then they win it in extras. But Hillsdale returns the favor the next day, 8-3 over Norwayne. Then on Saturday, they went to Clear Fork, and what a game that was. You can see the highlight on the OH Report. 5-3 victors over Clear Fork, scoring 3 runs actually, in the top of the 7th inning to take the lead, and they pull it off. This week, back to action. Chippewa in non-conference action, 17-5 over Wellington. 7-3, Norwayne knocks off Dowton. Northwestern also blanking Smithville 15-0, and then yesterday in conference action, Norwayne winning 8-4 over Dowton. Hillsdale 12-0 over WAYNEDALE, and Northwestern 16-0 over Rittman. As we take a look at the WCAL softball standings, Norwayne has clinched at least a share of the conference. Hillsdale can do the same with a win over WAYNEDALE today. Northwestern as well can get a share of the championship, a 3-way tie. Just like the baseball side, we could have multiple conference champs. Dowton 6-8, Chippewa 5-7, WAYNEDALE at 3-8, Smithville 2-10, and Rittman at 0-11. We tallied up your votes, and we have our winner for week number 5 of the Greatest Hits nominees. And guess what? For the first time ever, we have a tie. So let's roll it. First, did you order extra pickles? Because that's what you're getting. All 9 Northmore Golden Knights getting into the action to get the extremely rare rundown double play, and it started with a walk, runner thrown out at third. The guy that walked tried rounding second to third. He gets thrown out as the Golden Knights pull off the rundown double play. And our co-winner is Hillsdale's Jake Haverstock, who had a great day at the plate versus Chippewa, clearing the bases here with a double as they went on to run rule the Chips. So there are the winners from this past week, but it is now time for our Week 6 nominees. Let's roll it. We kick things off with the Clear Fork duo of Renee Anders and Katrina Rogers playing You Dropped the Bomb on Me, not once, but twice, as Anders hit a solo shot early on, and Rogers gave the Lady Colts a 1-run lead in the 6th against Hillsdale. We'll have more from this one in a bit. Nominee number 2 comes on the baseball side of Clear Fork, as Garrett Holtz had his teammate thinking he needed to run this one out the home plate with Yakety Sax playing in the background. Yeah, it's back-to-back Yakety Sax references But no worries, my friend, it's a home run. It cleared the fence. You can slow things down and cross the plate safely. Our third hit comes from Waynedale as Hillsdale's Nick Candle had his team singing, ha, 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 staying alive. This RBI single, along with his stellar pitching performance, has the Falcons in title contention going into the final conference game of the regular season. You could also say in nominee number 4 that Norwayne's Riley Gwynn had her team singing Staying Alive. Down to their final strike, she rips this single down the line and left. 2 runs scored to tie it. They would then win in extras to keep their conference title hopes alive going into the final day of competition. And finally, we are back to Clear Fork, where with 1 out in the top of the 7th, Belle Doughton sends this one flying over the scoreboard and left. But they weren't done. You 90s kids should remember the great Disney classic, The Goofy Movie. Well, those guys were singing Eye to Eye, while Dalton and Morgan were singing Back to Back. Hillsdale pulls off the 5-3 win to get some momentum going into the final week of the regular season. And there are your Week 6 nominees for the greatest hits. As always, 1 vote per person. You have until 8 o'clock on Tuesday night to get your votes in. After a 1-week hiatus, the Diamond Cut segment is back as I welcome in OH Report founder, president, CEO, janitor, color comment, and anything you could say, Brian Skorwonski. Brian, welcome back from your tour around the country, seeing magnificent places and whatnot.
Yeah, but nothing quite beats sitting at this table with you, Big League, talking some softball, some baseball, and right here in North Central Ohio. Mwah, mwah. I can't wait, baby.
Well, let's get right to it. The Diamond Cuts.
Here they come, the top defensive plays of the week, and we start out in Falcons country where there's a Bobcat on the prowl and he goes hunting for home. Observe the cannon arm of Norway's C.J. Moore to get the out at the dish. Watch it one more time as this throw is definitely no Fugazi on the money. Boom! Punched out before the score. Out to the valley we go, big knock down the third baseline, but diamonds are a girl's best friend after all, and Clear Fork's Mel Blueball likes to get flossy on the corner with the sparkling web gem. Look at the extension for the out for the Colts. Nominee 3 lands us back at Hillsdale, only this time it's the Falcons making moves. Shortstop Jake Haverstock with the crown jewel of a throw after eating up this grounder.
Jeter-esque.
I think he must have went to Jared too, because that diamond cuts for real. We're going to be getting tricky here at the next nominee, number 4, Gage Powell, going around the back for the snag from the hill. Then he's going to put a ring on it for the out over at first. Big play for Big Lex. Check it out one more time. This is crazy, man. Nothing small about this one, even playing on a Little League field. Let's burn it like a scented candle here with our final nominee. And what's that scent? Smells like greatness to me. Hillsdale's Nick Candle tosses a 1-hitter against the defending state champs to get the dub and keep his Falcons in the league title race, knocking off Waynedale for a monster victory thanks to number 6.
And it hurts for the Hillsdale softball team. 2 of those plays go against them, but the baseball team gets 2 nominees as well. That was a big win for the Falcons yesterday to keep their WCAL hopes alive against Waynedale. But some great plays for you to come back to, Brian.
That's right, baby. Those are your diamond cuts for the week. Do we get a vote on this? Not yet?
Not yet. Maybe down the line. But
down the line.
Vote for your greatest hits, though. Mother Nature was so kind to us over the last week. We were able to get all of the games that we had scheduled in. So our Talk of the Town Shoutout edition is a little bit longer than we had last week. So let's get right to it. Our MVP interviews, the shoutout portions of each of those in the Talk of the Town Shoutout edition, brought to you by Plymale Insurance Group. All right, and lastly, if you want to look into the camera, give anybody a shout out, say hi to anybody you want, go for it.
I want to thank my pitcher, Lex. She had my back the entire time, and she just did it all for her team. She was lights out, and she went in 100% every single pitch and every single play.
I want to shout out my team, my parents, and the coaching staff.
I'm going to pity shout out my sister, since she's been waiting for this one for forever now. And then just our pitchers. I mean, they did great today, and all of us for being loud and losing half our voices.
I'd like to shout out all my teammates, my coaches, and my parents.
Shout out to my family for always coming and supporting me.
All right, there you have it. Tonight's MVP, Nick Candle, the complete game. One-hit shutout. Hillsdale wins.
Yes, sir!
Lot of shout-outs brought to you by Plymale Insurance Group. Thank you for sponsoring that segment. Talk of the Town shout-out edition. We'll have that in our final 2 editions as well. Before we wrap things up here today, last week I showed you our softball bracket reveal that we had on the OH Report video podcast. You can watch every Monday live and free around 4 o'clock, and then you can watch it whenever on our Facebook and YouTube pages. Well, this past Monday, we reviewed the baseball brackets for all of our teams around the area, and this is what Brian Skorwonski and myself had to say about those. Also, Hayden Gray popped in every once in a while as well. Now let's get to the brackets, and like you said, Division II, the Fremont bracket, where those Clear Fork Colts, who should be still a top 15 team in the state rankings, #1 overall seed, they will get the winner of Bellevue Mansfield Senior. That's an intriguing sectional championship game in the Clear Fork Valley. Bellevue, a pretty darn good squad out of the SBC. That would be the first. They had a choice of any of the top 4 seeds. They chose to go after Clear Fork, which kind of surprises me with the pitching that Clear Fork has. The #2 seed on the right, bottom right of your screen, Sandusky Perkins. They'll get the winner of Sandusky and Ontario. Always look out for Ontario. It doesn't matter what team they have. They usually get a win or 2 in the tournament, so we'll see if they can do that.
They've got some baseball tradition over there.
Yeah, a little bit. A little bit of tradition. So look out for Ontario. Shelby, the 3 seed, split with Clear Fork last week. They're the 3 seed. They'll get either Willard, the high-powered Willard offense, who gave Calvert its first loss this season. They go up against Madison. Madison just knocked off Worcester this past weekend, 3-2. So we'll see what that goes.
And good for Madison being in D2 where they belong. They play in D1 and all the other
always
sports.
the lowest
it
D1
makes
squad.
No sense. This is way more at home for them.
Absolutely. And then the 4 seed is the Clyde Flyers. They'll take on either Lexington or Vermilion. And we were talking about this in our meeting earlier. Lexington, what are they doing this year? They're not terrible. They're not the great Lexington teams that we've seen, but they are still a 6 seed in this stacked district, so you never know. Teams that get hot, Lexington could be one of those teams that get hot. Can they get past Vermilion? I think they can. If they can upset Clyde, then you see them with their #1 pitcher going against Clear Fork in a rematch of that community game we just saw on delay on Friday night on the OH Report. That could be something worth watching up at Fremont. But there you have it. District semifinals at Fremont the 25th at 2 and 5 o'clock. District championship game noon on the 27th.
When you look at these teams in here, do you see parity, or do you see a couple of teams that are elite and then others that are at least one step below, maybe even a couple?
Well, if you folks read Jake Furr's articles about this district, this is a stacked district. This is one of those where you think, okay, Clear Fork, the way they have played this year, they got a chance. Shelby, they've come on as of late. They do as well. Don't know about too much about those SBC teams, but you see they always make a win. They get a win or 2. But then you have the teams like Lexington or like Ontario, a Madison team that got some momentum beating Worcester. Willard as well, who they have a power hitter that hit 2 3-run shots against Calvert. So they have power. They score runs. So all it takes is just one bad game by a starting pitcher and one good offensive game to get some upsets. So the teams that I think are set up, Clear Fork, clearly with the pitching that they have the ability to score some runs as well. They're the clear favorites. But then you got Perkins. You have Shelby as well, Ontario. So I can't give you a clear-cut favorite, but I do think Clear Fork has the best chance.
All right, let's jump down to Division III now, and let's check out the Shelby district and break down a few of these first-round matchups for me, and then potential sectional championship showdowns.
Well, the defending state runners-up in Edison, they are the top seed. They'll get the winner of Woodmore and Andy Jardy's alma mater, Northwood, in a sectional championship. These sectional finals on the 19th at 5 o'clock. Those Crestview Cougars, state ranked, they're the 4 seed. They'll get either Lakota or Bucyrus. Oak Harbor's the 2 seed. They'll get either Margaretta or Port Clinton, so that's an SBC sectional bracket right there. And then the Winford Royals, which we thought before the season had the chance to be Northern 10 champions, be highly state-ranked. They had a slow start, but they've come on as of late. They were state-ranked. They are a 3 seed. They get either Huron or Western Reserve. This is less of a stacked district than the Division II Fremont district, but still, you have Edison. We see Edison make a run every year. Crestview, they're really good this year. We saw them against Clear Fork, put up a fight against them. And then you have the Margarettas, the Oak Harbors, the Hurons, Winfords. But I do think this has a chance of going chalk to a district. Edison, Crestview, Oak Harbor, and Winford. I think those are 4 of the top seeds that can make it. Although I do think Margaretta has the chance of being one of the non-4 seeds to make it.
One thing that's really cool is it's over at the brand new, beautiful ballpark in Shelby.
Over there.
That's set up for media success. We definitely got to get over there and catch some games, man.
Hey, we have the ability to stream a couple district games there, but that would be I'd love to see an Edison Crestview, because that would be the ones number 1 pitchers going up against that, and even Winford too. I haven't been able to see Winford this season, but with all that they have, I think they have a chance of making a run too. It's all about getting hot at the right time. If you can have yourself a good enough season in the regular season, get a high seed, you can just throw that out there, and if you're peaking at the right time, you can make a run. We've seen that before. Clear Fork's 2 state Final Four appearances the last few years. Ontario making it to a regional, Lexington as well. It's just about peaking at the right time.
All right, we'll see if that pays off for Winford right now, playing their best baseball of the season. Let's advance now and check out the D3 Central 2 districts, where we've got the number 2 team in the state in Fredericktown that's going to be competing, and you would assume that they would be a favorite here to get out of this, but
absolutely
a lot of work to do.
Seeds, because this, again, split into 2 separate districts in Division 3. The Division 4 Central District is not. It's a huge district. I have that one, but we'll show you that down the line. But out of the top 4 seeds, only the number 1 seed made it to this one. Heath, the 5 seed, made it too. But Fredericktown, the number 2 team in all of Division 3, they were number 1 for 4 straight weeks as well. They'll get the winner of Madison Plains and Harvest Prep. The winner then, Cardington Lincoln. Okay, Cardington did play a close game against Fredericktown earlier this season. I don't know who Fredericktown pitched in that one, but you never know the matchup there. So Cardington getting they're getting a home sectional championship game, and then they're going to take their chances at Fredericktown in a district semifinal. Bottom of the bracket, Pleasant taking on Grandview Heights, and then Heath will get the winner of Amanda Clear Creek and Grove City Christian. You got to think this is probably going to be a Heath or Grandview Heights versus Fredericktown district championship, and we talked about this when we talked to Coach last week. This is a team, a bunch of seniors, chip on their shoulder. They should have beaten Edison, and then they saw what Edison ended up going on to, sending WAYNEDALE to extra innings in the state championship game. So Fredericktown, I think, is the clear-cut favorite in this one. This is the one where I can say, I don't want to be like Charles Barkley, but guarantee it! Fredericktown will play for at least a district championship.
Yeah, get out your Sharpie and pencil them in for sure. They're just too deep, too loaded, great coaching all the way around. It just looks like they've got a team after they win their sectional moving on that they've already beaten twice, potentially in Cardington. So all the stars are aligning for them to at least get a chance at competing for a chance at regional.
But also they know what happens when they don't play their best game.
That's right.
Last year. So that's something where I don't think they're going to go into these games cocky, because they found out what happened in that regional semifinal against Edison last year. So I think they are ready no matter who they play, even if they are the worst team in the division, that they will play them like they're the number 1 team.
Let's check out the Gallion District now in Division 4, where it's got some nice local flavor, of course, out there for teams that are in and around North Central Ohio that are going to be competing for an opportunity to try to move on into the regional round. And this typically is one of my favorite districts to cover. We've got, like you see just all across the board, a lot of teams that we are accustomed to covering on a regular basis, Travis, all going toe-to-toe here right out of the gates.
And this one was the district that had controversy last year,
oh,
Brian.
Yeah.
Was it fair?
Man.
Was it foul? People are still heated about that.
Inconclusive video evidence. My eyeballs told me that it was a little bit foul, but that's not what it was called on the field, so it was a home run.
Anyway, it's a home run for Colonel Crawford. Despite, it had been 7 losses, they dropped down to D4 once again. They are the top seed, but look at who the number 2 seed is. Those Lucas Cubs and the pitching staff that they have. We'll start with their part of the bracket. They'll either get a third time against Crestline or take on New London. And then in the bottom part of that, Seneca East taking on either Plymouth or South Central. So Lucas, a very favorable bottom part of the bracket. Then you have the Colonel Crawford Eagles. Yeah, they dropped a couple games. They lost to one game to Northmore in a game that Northmore came back. Northmore's a state-ranked squad. Upper Sandusky, a state-ranked squad. They played with them as well. So they played some really tough competition, and they're still deserving of that 1 seed. They'll either take on Buckeye Central or Mansfield Christian. I think that'll be a win for them if they take care of business. You never know in the sport of baseball or softball. And then they'll either get Mohawk or Ridgemont. Northern 10 district semifinal, I believe, will happen here between Crawford and Mohawk. And then I think actually we'll probably have 3 Northern 10 teams. But those Lucas Cubs, that 1-2 punch they have pitching too, they only need to throw, I think Smolin will only throw the sectional final, and then the next week he'll throw again in a district semifinal. So they only need 1 pitcher if you have the sectional bye. And I think that helps teams out too, getting that bye, because your number 2 pitcher, you can bring them in relief. You don't have to worry about saving them for a championship game because, taking that bye. I know some coaches like to play in that sectional because you've gone so far in between games, but I do like the fact that you take that bye so you can set your pitching up to maybe if your starter doesn't have a good game in that sectional championship, you can bring your number 2 in to help them out. So Colonel Crawford and Lucas, I think they're set, and I think it's going to be a rematch of the district championship game in basketball.
Interesting to see the defending district champion in Plymouth all the way down at a number 6 seed now. So do they become a factor? Because they've had some kids, of course, that have played in the big games and have been able to advance it. They know what that tournament atmosphere feels like. And for Lucas Smolin losing to Plymouth last year, it was on the road at their place. Now that they kind of have the tables turned and people got to come play them in Cubs
Was that
country.
the black eye game?
That was the black eye game. So first and only time I've ever been hit by a baseball or a softball out at a game, and came crashing in. And I do feel like this was karma for me, just because I had been a cheapskate and I didn't want to buy a real pair of sunglasses. So I went and I stopped by a convenience store.
That might be a good thing, though.
I paid like $12 for a pair, and next thing I know, an hour later, a ball comes crashing into it and just totally exploded my glasses and gave me, it wasn't a total black eye, but I was looking a little mangy for a few days.
Well, maybe it was the man up above looking out for you, saying, I don't want you ruining any of your nice shades. Here, just think about buying an old one, and we'll still get you smacked in the face, and you won't have to worry about it.
Haven't replaced, so I need a pair of shades. I might have to go out and splurge and get like a little bit nicer this year and just see that maybe that's what my head told me last year, was like, man, you are such a cheapskate. You wouldn't pay $70 or $100 for a pair of sunglasses. You know we're going to last for a long time. You stopped at Speedway. That's what you deserve, sir. All right, let's check out the Medina District now in Division 4, where those Hillsdale Falcons are the defending champions, and they're having a great season yet again, Trav. So as you take a look at some of the competition that they could possibly face in here, it's going to be tough for them, I think, to repeat and get back to regionals.
Well, if you see, they should be a 1 seed, but they got swept by Dalton. If they win one of those 2 games, they are probably the 1 seed, but that doesn't matter because they're on opposite sides of the bracket. They probably meet anyway, but Dalton beat them twice in the regular season. Despite that, Hillsdale still with a chance also with Dalton, with Norwayne, and with, I believe, Northwestern to split the WCAL. That's coming down to the last week, but I digress. Hillsdale, the 2 seed, though, they'll get either Kidron Central Christian or Oberlin in a sectional championship at that beautiful Hillsdale facility on the 18th at 5 o'clock. Then they'll get the winner of Loudonville and Rittman. Loudonville, the 4 seed, too. So talking about Lucas back in their bracket, battle tested. Loudonville's a pretty good squad as well. Kidron Central Christian getting a top 7 seed too. So I think that's why Lucas was able to earn that 2 seed in that tough district, because the Mid Buckeye Conference is a little bit higher up than they're used to right now. So Hillsdale would get Loudonville, a rivalry game in a district semifinal. Then on the bottom, Dalton taking on either Cornerstone Christian or Andrews Osborne in that game. Then they'll either get the 3 seed Columbia or the 6 seed Open Door Christian. So Dalton with a little bit more of a tougher road to the district championship game. Hillsdale, though, this is a team that you and I, in front of our own eyes, saw lost that tough game to Calvert in a regional championship game where they went up big
One
early
of the best
on.
baseball games I've ever seen.
It was crazy.
Really
crazy
fun.
game. But you got to think that it's the same thing like Fredericktown. They were right there. They had the opportunity to do. They let it slip right through those fingers.
So will that
you gotta
motivate you when you get into the
Yes.
tournament? Or if things start going sour a little bit, does it become some type of a hindrance?
I think for teams with senior leadership, a lot of seniors on the squad, it's the chip on the shoulder. It motivates them. Same with Fredericktown. Now, if it's like, say, with a Centerburg softball team, you see them lose a game they shouldn't. They're young. That might stick with them. But with the older teams that you see, I think it's just more motivation. We've seen that with this Hillsdale squad. They lost a couple big hitters from last year, but look where they're at. Same place as last year, going right back up to Medina.
All right, so that's the 5 brackets that we're going to take an in-depth look
Yes.
at, Travis. But kind of give me the best of the rest. Give me a few teams who are regional championship contenders in some other districts.
Well, in Division I, that Northeast district's, I think, between 5 separate districts. There's about 35 teams. Worcester is the 4th overall team in the Northeast district. So that tells you how good this squad is.
I
You
think
and I
they
were
have
talking
3
before.
D1 players on the roster.
Yeah, you and I were talking before the game. They have some studs, but Worcester, they get an 18 or a 34 seed at home in the sectional semi, and then they might get Broadview Heights, who's a 9 seed. That's it. But you get to the district championship game, St. Ignatius, the number 1 overall district seed. So we'll see, can the Worcester Generals get to a district championship game? I think they do. Can they beat St. Ignatius? If they do, then not only are they district champions, but I think they're state championship contenders. So nothing but the best of Worcester. They're going to most likely, if they haven't already, win the OCC once again. But that squad, we saw them last year a few times. They're a fun squad to watch, but now they have some legit ballers on that team. So that's our lone D1 school that I think has a chance. Ashland in their district, they're in the teens. They got a good squad. They might make it to a sectional championship game, but it's going to be tough for them to get to a district.
Agreed.
Division II, the Bluffton district. This district will play the Fremont district in a regional semi. GALION, they're an 8th seed. They had some one of their pitchers, I think, midway through the season, I think left the team for a little bit, and I think it threw stuff off because GALION at that point, when they lost to Clear Fork in 9 innings, was doing real well.
Yeah.
But after that, they had to kind of reschedule their pitching around, and it threw them off. So they're an 8 seed, but hey, you never know. They would get Wapakoneta, the top seed. But on the bottom, the Northern 10 champions for the 3rd time ever in school history, the Upper Sandusky Rams Conference champs. They either get Lima Shawnee or Elida, and then they would play probably the 3 seed Lima Bath before going on. But Upper Sandusky, the way they've been playing ball, the pitching that they have, I think they can make
That's an
a
intriguing
regional
team. I look forward to, we're going to have their head coach on the show next Monday to talk about their season, elevating their game to become N10 champions, and of course, kind of forecasting what they feel like their potential can be in the tournament. But I think, obviously, they've got high expectations just like we do for the Rams.
And they have motivation. They're playing for people as well.
That's
We'll
right.
get more into
That's
that
right.
next week on the podcast. 3 more brackets real quick. The Central 2 in Division 2, Highland, the lone team that we have. They're a 3 seed. They get 2 low teen seeds, and then Granville's a 7. That'd be a sectional district semi. The next highest seed is Licking Valley, the 4. The thing that stinks, though, for this, if they win their district, they got to go all the way back down to Cincinnati, the Mason Regional once again. What are you doing, OHS? You can't find a... Never mind. Anyway, so Highland, really good team. They have a chance. I think they're district favorites to get back to Cincinnati. They were regional runners-up 2 years ago. You can still see those highlights on the OH report. D3, the Central 1 district, the opposite side of Fredericktown. East Knox, they're a 6 seed. They took the bye to play Utica in a sectional championship, but the winner will get number 2 seeded Worthington Christian. That's going to be a big one. However, East Knox, they can pitch their one against Worthington Christian, so Briar Householder, I think, will be that one. He's really good. He beat Northmore. Yeah. One of 3 Northmore losses, so he's legit. So that'll be quite the matchup. Mount Gilead 11 seed. They play Centerburg, so a KMAC matchup. The winner gets 4th seeded West Jefferson, so that's a tough path for them. But East Knox, hey, they won a district championship. They won a couple district championships the last couple of years. They have the ability to as well. And finally, Division 4, the Central District. Yes, Northmore fans, this is your district. The Golden Knights, this is a very large district. It's not broken into 2 despite having, I think, 17, 18 seeds in here. They're the 3 seed. They're in a bracket with the 17th seed Ridgedale. They'll play them in a sectional final or a sectional semifinal. Mechanicsburg, the 5, they would get them in a sectional championship. And then Fairfield Christian, they're the 2 seed. They'd see them in a district semifinal. The top seed in this bracket is Newark Catholic. We have highlighted them against East Knox. They played them tough. So Golden Knights, they have the pitching as well. We've seen them in a couple times. So another one of those teams that, hey, they play good ball. They could see themselves in a regional as well. And that is it for Lenardi Talk today.
Yeah, a lot of teams, a lot of potential.
Thank you.
Could be, by my estimation, at least 2 that are going to win.
I think
their
Highland and
districts.
Fredericktown easily. Then
And
you
then-
get maybe Clear Fork or Shelby or Ontario. You got that. Northmore's got a legit shot. Worcester, we could be seeing Worcester as well. Can East Knox maybe, Upper Sandusky. We have a lot of teams. Good thing is some of these districts fill into Bowling Green because Bowling Green does multiple division districts at that field. So
Yeah.
we just might be pitching a tent for a couple days up in Bowling Green, but I'm fine with it. And there you have it, another edition of the Roundup with me, Big League Berardi. 6 of 8 in the books. We have highlighted all of our conferences, so next week we start getting into tournament time. Baseball will have sectionals, softball will be in districts, so we'll be breaking those scores and brackets down as we go on, and we will have our greatest hits winner from this past week, nominees for next week, our diamond cuts, as well as our Talk of the Town brought to you by Plymale Insurance Group. Want to thank our sponsors one more time, Plymale Insurance Group for the Talk of the Town, as well as Spherion Mid Ohio, our whole show sponsor. But that'll wrap it up. I will see you guys 1 week from today, right here on the Roundup.